narration regarding Dajjal on an island. Okay, this has been something that the people have wanted for a while. We've delayed it for a while, but today, inshallah, we will study it. It's a long narration, so you're going to have to bear with me. And the narrator of this hadith is Hazrat Fatima bint Qais radiallahu anha, and she mentions a little bit about herself, a bit of a background about herself before she mentions the hadith. I won't mention that. And she says that I was in the first row of the women. So meaning all this will be the area of the men, and I was in the first row of the women. So she's basically trying to say, I heard very clearly what the Prophet ﷺ said. I wasn't at the back of the rows of the women, I was at the first row where the women prayed. And the Prophet ﷺ that day, he told everybody, he made an elan. He told everybody before the namaz time came, he told everybody to come to the masjid. And then after the namaz was finished and completed, he sat on the minbar and he was smiling and he told everybody, sit in your place. And he says, do you know why I've gathered you today? And the Sahaba Kiram replied, Allah and His Messenger know best. So he said, indeed, I have not called you today to, inform you about something raghbat or rahbat, to warn you of anything or to give you some good news about anything. No. But the reason why I have gathered you today is because Tamim Dari is a person who was a Christian and he has come and he has accepted Islam, and he told me something which coincides with that which I used to tell you about Masih Dajjal. That one time Hazrat Tamim Dari, he sat on a boat, he was with 30 men, and the boat, it was tossing them here and there, the waves were playing with them for a whole month. Okay, this is what happened back in the day when people used to sit on the boat. It was very risky. Before they would depart saying, we don't know if we're going to meet you again. So many people died on their journey to Hajj and Umrah. Very few people made it back. So they were on the boat, and the boat is tossing them around. The waves are very strong. At the end, they reach to an island, and they then sit on small boats, and they enter this island, and they meet a dabba, and it is very hairy, very hairy. They don't know its front from its back. That's how hairy it was. So they said to this, what are you? So the dabba, the animal, literally dabba means animal or beast. The beast replied, I am Jassasa. And Jassasa means spy. I am the spy. So they replied, what does it mean? What does Jassasa mean? What is Jassasa? What is a spy? So the beast replied that just go to that person in the monastery, because he has lots of shauq. He has a lot of interest regarding some information from you. He wants to know what information you have. I'm not going to tell you anything. So we went and we entered this monastery, and we see the most enormous human we have ever seen before, the most well built up human that we have ever seen before. And it was tied up. And his hands were tied up to his neck, and his knees were tied up to his ankles with, bil hadid, with copper and iron. So we asked that, what are you? And he said, wait, I'm not going to tell you. You first tell me who you are. I'll tell you later on about me. So they said, we are from Arab. They told the full story. We were sat on a boat. We were trying to go somewhere else, but this is what happened on the way, and we've just reached this island now. We've not got to the destination we wanted to, but we've reached to you. So, and this beast told us to come to you. So now the Dajjal is going to ask a few questions. He said that, I want to know about the palm trees in Baysan. And Baysan is located in North Palestine. And today it is said that this area is under the control of the Jews. So what does Dajjal ask about the dates of Baysan? He says that, do they bear fruit? Are they giving fruit? Are they giving dates? So they replied, yes, it's giving plenty of dates. So he said, soon a time will come when the trees of Baysan stop giving fruits. And today, if we study and we ask Google or we study different books, it is said that these trees of Baysan no longer give fruits anymore. So the first thing that Dajjal said, that soon a time will come when they no longer give fruits, it seems as that has been attained and that has been fulfilled. So number two, then he asked about Tabariya, the water of Tabariya, and this is Lake Tiberias. Does anybody know where that is located? No. It is located close. It's located in Israel. Okay. So, and if we study, the Jal asked, he asked that, is that lake, is it giving water? So they said, yes, it is full of water. So he said, a time is going to come when that lake is no longer going to give water, it's going to dry up. And now, if we study this in the last few years, you will see that the water levels have been fluctuating. In 2017, it hit the lowest point, and they were very worried that it's going to dry up in 2017. And because of that, they actually underwent some projects and they tried to make, the salty water into sweet water, and they created some. I think it's the desalination. I think huts or something like that, and because of that now they have more water. But in 2017 there was a very great fear that this water is going to dry up, but even till today, it's fluctuating a lot. So what we do learn is that this water is slowly drying up. And number three, the Dajjal asked about the water of Zughar, and Zughar is located in Sham, and when this water dries up along with the lake of Tiberias, then the Dajjal will be permitted to leave, and those chains will be untied, and he will leave that island and he will escape. And then the Dajjal actually asked about the Nabiya Ummi, referring to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that has he come? So they said yes, and he said, tell me about him. What is he doing? Are the people following him? How have they done with him? So they said that, he's left Makkah Mukarramah, he's migrated from Makkah Mukarramah, and now he's in Yathrib, i.e. Medina Munawwara. So he asked, do the Arabs fight him? And they said, yes, the Arabs, they are fighting him. So he said, what's happening in the war? So he said that he has overpowered them, and he has overpowered those that are near him as well. So the Dajjal said it is better for them that they follow this Prophet. And in one narration it comes, when he heard that the Prophet ﷺ was out and that people are following him, then he tried jumping up and he actually tried escaping at the time, thinking now is my time to leave. These are from the last signs. He tried to escape, but he couldn't at the time. So then he mentioned that there will be a time where I will be permitted to leave this island, and I will travel the whole world in 40 nights except for Mecca and Taiba. And Taiba is Medina Munawwara. Them two are forbidden for me. Whenever I intend on entering them, there will be angels there, and in their hands there will be unsheathed swords, and they will stop me from entering them. At every entry point there will be angels there, and they will be guarding those entry points. So then the Prophet ﷺ, he had the stick in his hand on the minbar, so he hit the stick down. And he said, this is Tayyiba, this is Tayyiba, this is Tayyiba. This is Medina Munawwara. This is Medina Munawwara. Did I not tell you this before? And the people said, yes. And he said that I like the story of Hadith of Tamim Dari because it agrees with what I was telling you before. And then the Prophet ﷺ said that listen carefully, he is in the river of Sham or he is in the river of Yemen. Then the Prophet ﷺ, no, rather he is in the east, he is in the east, he is in the east, and he pointed towards the east. Now, we already mentioned where the Dajjal will emerge from and what the meaning of that end bit was when the Prophet ﷺ first said he will be from Sham or he'll be from the river of Yemen. That was what he thought, according to where Hazrat Tamim Dari was located from. But then he received revelation, no, he will come from the east. So there's a few things from this narration to understand. Number one is, where is this island? That is the most common question we receive. Where is this island? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows better exactly where this island is. Mufti Abu Lubaba, he writes that if we look at the east of Arab, there is an area in the Pacific Ocean, and down there is actually something called the Devil's Sea. The Devil's Sea. And this is very similar to the Bermuda Triangle. There are many mysterious events that have taken place here in this Devil's Sea as well, just as how events have occurred in the Bermuda Triangle. So it is very possible he is located there. And Allah knows better, that is possible. Whether he's located in this sea or in that island or in another island. And just talking about the Bermuda Triangle, lots of people say, oh, it must be the Bermuda Triangle. So one thing to note is that we mentioned this a few weeks ago about Iblis. When Ibn Sayyad, the Prophet ﷺ, asked him, what do you see? And he said, I see a throne on water. So the Prophet ﷺ, mentioned that he is seeing the throne of Iblis. And we mentioned that Iblis, his headquarters are in the ocean. So every day he gathers his troops and then he sends them out and he tells them, okay, you go and misguide this person. And then they all come back and they tell Iblis what they did. And the one who spreads the most corruption, they are the closest to him. And some people, they come to him and they say, we've done this. And he said, no, you've done nothing. And the one who managed to split two partners up, he gets very happy with them. So what we learn is that Shaitan, Iblis's headquarters are in the ocean. So it is very possible that this Bermuda Triangle, it's possible that this is where Iblis's headquarters are. Hence all these mysterious events that are taking place. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to keep something hidden, then this is how he can keep it hidden from the people. And it is also very possible, Mufti Abu Lubaba writes, that Dajjal actually emerges from Iblis's headquarters. And they both form an alliance because Dajjal is the biggest weapon of Iblis. Because when Dajjal appears, what is he going to claim? He's going to claim divinity. He's going to misguide a lot of people. That is all from Iblis. Iblis wants to misguide as many people as possible. So he is the biggest weapon in Shaitan's artillery. Apart from this, there's a few things to note as well. Is about Ibn Sayyad. So we mentioned this previously. About Ibn Sayyad, he was a person who he was perceived, or there was a confusion, is he Dajjal or not? So we have to remember that the matters of Ibn Sayyad, they took place very early on. They took place first, and then this narration, the Prophet ﷺ was informed about this incident in the 9th Hijri, meaning the matters of Ibn Sayyad took place first, and then the Prophet ﷺ was informed about this. So in one place is mentioned where Hazrat Umar, he actually took an oath that Ibn Sayyad is Dajjal, and the Prophet ﷺ, he did not respond, he stayed quiet. So this narration actually negates the silence of the Prophet ﷺ, because the Prophet ﷺ himself didn't know, is Ibn Sayyad Dajjal or not? But the fact now, this hadith, it sort of indicates that no, Dajjal is somewhere else. He's located somewhere else, and this is Ibn Sayyad. So now that matter has become clear. But some people, obviously, they still say, no, Ibn Sayyad is very possible. He was Dajjal as well. But then the question is, how can Dajjal be at two places at once? How can he be there in Ibn Sayyad, and how can he be on an island at the same time? So Hafiz Ibn Hajar rahmatullah alayhi, he tried to reconcile. He says if people are insisting on this, then the best method of reconciling is that the actual Dajjal was the Dajjal on the island. was the Dajjal on the island, and Ibn Sayyad was actually a devil, and a devil came in the form of Dajjal and Ibn Sayyad. Hence, why the Prophet ﷺ investigated his matter. And we've also provided another answer to this, is that Hazrat Tamim Dari, he was stuck in like a time loop. So where his boat and all that happened, he went completely to another time frame. This was the future, so he saw the Dajjal of the future, and this was Ibn Sayyad here. Another question that is asked nowadays is, how is it with, you know, technology on the rise, how is it that we have not located the island of Dajjal? There's geography, there's Google Maps, Google satellites everywhere. How is it that we haven't located Dajjal? So the answer to this is that not all the islands on the world have been discovered. It's, for example, Fiji. If you look at Fiji, it's said that it has over 1,000 islands, but only a few islands have been discovered. So it's very possible the island where the Dajjal is on, it is not been discovered yet. And obviously there's another narration, not to confuse you, but one narration where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned towards the latter stages of his life, 1 month before he passed away, he said that 100 years from now, there is no living being, no being that is breathing, except 100 years will pass, but they will be dead. So then if Dajjal was actually alive, then he would have had to die as well, according to this hadith. So the answer to this is that the Prophet ﷺ was talking generally, there are still a few exceptions. So Dajjal could be one exception. We talked about Khizr alayhi salam previously. Khizr alayhi salam could be an exception, and jinnats as well, who have not every jinn, but certain jinns who have extremely long lives, they are also an exception to this as well. So I think we've covered the main things about this hadith and Dajjal. There's a lot more questions that come and arise from this hadith, but what we do have to remember is this hadith of Dajjal being on an island, it is authentic. It is narrated in Muslim Sharif, and even though Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi, he himself has not brought this hadith in his book, but Imam Tirmidhi rahmatullah alayhi, he asked Imam Bukhari about this hadith, and Imam Bukhari said it is an authentic hadith. But Imam Bukhari didn't bring it in his book because he preferred the view of Ibn Sayyad being Dajjal. And there are a lot more questions that arise from this hadith, but we will not, talk about them. What we do need to remember is the main points about Dajjal, what his descriptions are, where he will emerge from, and his trials, and we have to seek protection from Dajjal, and we have to read Surah Kahf, we have to learn the dua which we mentioned, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all from Dajjal, inshallah.